Tell me you want to go on summer break without telling me you want to go on summer break. That's what a lot of that game felt like last night, right? I think we have to recognize that this is kind of who the Blazers are, though. They're a lot of big, athletic, high motor guys, and they're going to try to out-effort you. And then at the end of the season every year, this is what happens. You have a bunch of teams that play well when it doesn't matter. That's kind of a trait of a bad team, right? They play well when it doesn't matter. And so the Warriors found themselves in much more of a dogfight than I think they had hoped for last night against this young Blazers team. Let's start with DeAndre Ayton. Dominating has been, frankly, he's done it to himself, right? But he's kind of been the butt of a lot of jokes in the last several seasons. And you saw him kind of go crazy from the mid-range last night. And, I think Chauncey Billups has figured this out, that Ayton, you have to remove the thinking. Don't give him choices. It's almost like a lot how Clay in his prime shot the ball, right? It was just like, it doesn't matter, I'm shooting it. I'm not worried about Steph. I'm not worried about KD. I'm catching it, I'm shooting it. And I think that Billups and the Blazers have empowered Ayton, and they've told him, hey, when you catch the ball at the elbow or on the block, just go to work. Don't even think about it. We want you to shoot it every time. And removing him thinking out there, it's removed the hesitation and it's put him in a rhythm. And when he's in rhythm like that, you see the talent. I was joking in the breakdown today. I said he's kind of like a 7-foot Andrew Wiggins, right? We all know what he could be, but he's not it enough. But it's easy to do when he's playing with a bunch of 19-year-olds and G Leaguers, right? The real trick is, can he keep that same energy when Simons is on the floor, Shaedon Sharpe's on the floor, when there's other stars on the floor? Can he still have that confidence and that mentality? Because he certainly didn't have it in Phoenix with Book and CP. To be fair to him, I don't think they helped it, right? They got to it. Monty, CP, Book, they got to a certain point where they were just like, all right, dude, we don't, like, no, just pass the ball, right? And Portland is in a position right now where they can kind of nurture that and see if they can build that confidence back up. But speaking of Chauncey Billups, I got to say, I think that he is tainting the Hall of Fame. like we have to have a higher line of demarcation. Like if you're one of these Hall of Famers and y'all are at a gathering, a party, and y'all are in those jackets and coats, right? And you looking around and they let him in? They let Chauncey in? Like to me, the Hall of Fame, it has to be for special players. And you say, well, they let Vince Carter in, right? Well, Vince Carter is the greatest dunker we have ever seen of all time. Vince Carter is special. Chauncey Billups was a solid player, right? What's the first word that you think of when it comes to Chauncey Billups? Solid player. Yeah, he's got a chip on one of the more loaded teams in the league as far as depth goes, right? It was such a committee thing with that Pistons team. And I know it sounds like hate, but I'm having a little fun. I'm clowning. Like, I get that there's a lot of guys that have been let into the Hall of Fame. The line to get into the NBA Hall of Fame is too low, where you could argue in baseball it's too high. Is football just right? I don't know. I'm having a little bit of fun at Chauncey's expense, but I am curious to see what he does with this team. You can see the blueprint. You can see the culture he's setting. Hard-nosed, we're going to out-hustle you. They clearly like big athletes, right? The question is, do you have enough basketball players around those athletes moving forward? But as you saw last night, those big athletes bothered Kuminga and Wiggins in particular, right? Wherever they turned, there was a like-sized athlete in front of them. And Wiggins and Kuminga couldn't just out-athlete guys on the floor last night, and that caused some issues. And then let's be honest, Steph didn't look like he wanted to play last night, and can you blame him? He didn't have his vets alongside him, but, ultimately, I think watching he and Loon operate down the stretch was a thing of beauty. Their chemistry and the patience that Steph used. It's in today's breakdown. I have actual footage, highlights, slow it down, show you what I'm talking about. But it was hard to catch, I think, in the flow live last night because I think we were all frustrated watching the game. And about halfway through that third quarter, we were starting to panic. Like, are we really going to get taken out by Duop? What's the kid's name? But what Steph was doing was when in the ball screens and when they were showing two, he wasn't just going right to the hook pass. Sometimes he was taking another dribble, or he would pick it up and then he'd bring it to two hands and he'd adjust and change the angle on the pass. And then you saw him and Looney again with that pick and roll game late where he was waiting on Loon. Instead of coming off the handoff and firing, he was extending it out and waiting on Loon on the roll and just being a patient point guard last night. And it got me to thinking about how, when you age as an athlete, you have no choice but to become more patient, and when you're as skilled as Steph, it can be an equalizer. It can be a reward because you have to just be a little more patient. And I saw his patience down the stretch, and ultimately, they avoided disaster because that would have been a disastrous loss. And again, Looney, his presence, he's charged up. His battery is full. Now, do you want him playing more than 15 or 20 minutes? No, you never do, because when you're dealing with an effort player like Looney, when you run him down, you're taking away his superpower, right? Looney's superpower is his effort, which is combined with the rebounding. It goes hand in hand, right? But he's going to outwork guys in the paint. But when you've run him down, now you've taken that away. And so seeing him charged back up, that is a nice subtle piece to the arsenal in certain matchups. So now we've got this big Pelicans game tonight, right? And they took the gamble and they rest GP2, Draymond, and Clay. And it made sense on paper up until it felt like it didn't later in that game. And you're like, are we really going to lose this game? And now you have 3 heavy rotation guys rested for this Pelicans team. Let me give you my underdog picks. I've got Draymond. Let's ride the Draymond train for a higher than a 3. And then Zion higher than 5 assists, because traditionally, when we play Zion, they use the Giannis rules, right? They build a wall at the nail for Zion. And if you've been paying attention, he's passing better than he ever has in his career. And their point Zion has kind of been a thing. So I like his higher than 5 assists. And for Draymond to knock one down, Valanciunas isn't going to come out at him, right? So those are my underdog picks. Please support the channel. Use the code Alchemy. Get a bonus on your deposit. And let's roll this thing into the playoffs. Now, when it comes to this Pelicans team, what I'm concerned about is trying to play too fast and being impatient. I talked about Steph's patience last night, and what a time to start doing that, because this Pelicans team, they've got a lot of lanky, athletic defenders. They're kind of like the Portland team, but they've just got stars and they're better at it. Meaning they are going to guard the back door and top lock. They have that type of athleticism and that type of effort level. And so Draymond can't be trying to keyhole these passes. You can't have these big looping skip passes at midcourt. It's going to play right into the Pelicans' hands. And I know, every game you say, oh, the Warriors got to keep the turnovers down, right? Yes, you do. But it's monumental in a matchup like this where the Pelicans can absolutely feast on it. They're designed to turn you over, right? And so they have to play a more deliberate game as far as attacking them offensively. But listen, I'm not here to hold y'all hands. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I don't like our chances tonight. I don't. I think that we've had to use too much energy last night, and frankly, too much energy in these last 2 weeks. We can, I know everybody's kind of gone back and been like the what ifs of all the games blown earlier in the season. And now it feels like it's time to pay the piper when it comes to that. And the amount of energy the team has had to use, I think it's going to be a tough matchup for us. I had just got done saying the other day, I don't want to play the Pels in the play-in. And here we are playing them to advance in the play-in. But all I can do is give you my thoughts. It doesn't matter ultimately what I think. I'll be back here tomorrow, hopefully talking about what we're going to do in that 8th spot, right? Prove me wrong, Dubs. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.